Hello, everybody. This is Mahadeva, OG Thunder Wizard. All right. So today we're going to talk about the heart center. I'm going to share with you some little known things about the heart center and about some esoteric, shamanic power. A very little known energy power that you can tap into, which has tremendous healing effects specifically we're going to be focusing on things associated with the heart, but we're also going to be talking about sexual healing, healing from trauma, from relationships, and how all these things connect. So if you're new to my channel, then you may not be aware that there is a third power which can be tapped into, which in my experience is the most powerful of all of the energy systems out there. So you're probably familiar with Qigong. Qi means life force energy. It's the same as prana, breath work. Every time you inhale, one of the reasons why the Wim Hof method is so healing is not only because of all the things that it claims to do, which I have no reason to dispute, besides all of the oxygenation of the blood, the hypoxia and hypoxia, I forget. Anyway, where you starve the body of oxygen when you're holding your breath out, or when you inhale very deeply and you hold breath in, it oxygenates the blood, does all kinds of great things. But it's also you're inhaling and bringing into the body life force energy. The breath is the way that you do that. That's why in Latin the word to breathe is inspire, to inspirit, to exhale, to expire. To die literally means to ex-spirit. But when you exhale, you're releasing the spirit. So this is Qi. This is very well known, prana, life force energy. And then you have kundalini, which is well known but not very well understood. Kundalini is not life force energy. Many people will say it's life force energy. It's not. People will tell you that kundalini, many well-meaning teachers and gurus, yoga masters will tell you that kundalini will tap you into the infinite, will give you the release of this physical world, of Maya and illusion. It does, but not for the reasons that people think. It's because it actually takes you deeper into the Maya, the illusion. And by being completely immersed in it and then rising above the lower aspects of it, you then become free, and you become like Kundalini Shakti, which is the feminine earth mother that seeks release in Shiva, the ultimate. And she does that by drawing him, ironically, she draws him down into limitation so that she can experience his limitlessness. So there's kundalini, that's well known. Then there's the third one, which is the heart mind, known as the shen in Taoist understanding. Now, many Taoists have very limited understanding of the heart mind. They know of it. If you talk to people who are trained in traditional Chinese medicine, they can explain to you what it is. Generally, they can talk about it. They'll even give you the name of it, which is called the Emperor's Bodyguard. And so they can explain to you how the shen, the heart mind, can be damaged from wounds, emotional wounds. The heart chakra, the heart chakra is associated with kundalini. So in this area that we call the heart center, you have multiple overlapping things. You have the cauldron, which is the middle dantian, which is one of the places where life force energy is purified as it's making its way up to the yi or the shen. This is actually the shen here, the spirit. Then you have the heart chakra, which is when the kundalini is coming up the spinal column, it goes through these chakras, these wheels. And as it goes through the wheel, there's a knot in there, an energetic knot. When you become aware, when you become more mature, when you overcome your selfish, self-centered narcissism in the area that chakra represents, and the heart center, it has to do with emotions. When you move past that, you untie that knot, and then the heart is open. And then you operate from your emotional connection on a more mature level. So you've got the chi, which is associated with the cauldron. You have the kundalini, which is associated with the chakra. And then you have this thing called the shen, or the heart mind. And the heart mind is where the power of feminine lightning power. This is the true goddess. The true power of the goddess rests in the heart. And so you can open the heart chakra and not open up the shin. You can stimulate the middle dantian cauldron, but not release the heart mind. But if you release the heart mind, guess what? You get the other two things. If you release the heart mind energy, you will get the benefits of opening the heart chakra, and you will get the benefits of the cauldron, which will purify the life force energy. You see me doing things over here. You know, this here is the wood element from the Mao Shan, which, oh, I got to put that up. Let me get that. Let me find that link here. There it is. Okay, so the maoshan.thunderwizard.com. If you want to get to the elite level of the heart mind, this is the promo for the wood. That's me doing the wood right there. Now, if you look at that, what you just saw, and you saw me, you know, slowly rotating and turning, you might think, oh, that looks like Tai Chi. And it does. It's very similar to Tai Chi. But what you may not know, if you don't know what to look for, is that the exact placement of my hands and my arms, and in fact my whole body, is designed to do one thing, which is to open up the shin, the lightning power of the heart. Specifically, that movement will open up the wood element, because you have all the 5 elements here. So you have the heart mind. The heart mind has its own meridians for the 5 elements within itself. And then, of course, there's the 5 elements throughout the whole body. But the lightning power can operate within the 5 elements as well. And there's points in the hand. You know, I believe it's the tip of the middle finger is the wood. The fire is right here, just off center from the center of the palm. The earth is right here. The metal is right about there. And then the water is, can't see it, right here. And unless you know what you're looking at when you watch me doing these different forms, you think I'm just doing these cute little moves or some Tai Chi or some martial art thing. And indeed, it does all of those things. But specifically what that form does is it opens up the heart-mind energy and focuses on the wood element or the ether element within that. So people who are doing that, those who are doing this know what I'm talking about. You get really loopy. You get really stoned from it, right? You feel really relaxed. You feel powerful. You feel almost like you've smoked like really good weed with no side effects, and you've got this feeling of of energy and power and satiation and happiness and all of that. No, I can't speak for anybody else. That's what happens for me. But that's because the wood element expands. The wood element is the liver, which is the power of Thor. The reason why Thor is who he is, the reason why he's fighting off the giants with the power of lightning and thunder. He is taking that ether element. He this, you could also call this element the Thor element. Doing that will teach you and connect you directly to the power of Thor or Indra or whatever lightning god you want, Shango. Because the lightning god fights against the forces in the universe, the forces of narcissism that seek to destroy your boundaries. This is the ironic thing, that people who wear the Thor's hammer or put a Thurisaz rune on their arm and they're racist, what's ironic is that they are projecting their fear that their boundaries are being destroyed. So they're calling on Thor to help protect their boundaries. But ironically, their unconscious projection is that they then will seek to target other humans for some superficial thing like race or skin color or something ridiculous like that. It shows their complete lack of feeling empowered. It shows their fear that they don't have any boundaries. And so they call upon Thor. Ironically, they're actually bringing Thor's wrath upon them, because Thor is the god who fights for everybody's equality, everybody's safety, everybody's empowerment, everybody's boundaries. So when you do this wood element, you open the lightning energy of the heart, and it gives also this experience of empowered boundaries. You feel safe, you feel nurtured, you feel empowered, and you feel your ego becomes healthily empowered. Like narcissistic personality disorder, like pick your favorite narcissist, Hitler, Stalin, whomever. These are people that actually have no identity. They have zero identity. That's what makes them mentally ill. They actually have no identity within them. People who are neurotic have identities. Maybe their identities are weak or malformed or something like that. But people who are psychopathic, who are sociopathic, these people have no identity. So this power of wood empowers your identity. And you can feel pride in a healthy way. You can feel self-confident in a healthy way. And it also will heal the wounds of the heart. So the way the heart mind works, again, I'll keep repeating it. Those of you who are doing all of this is Celestial Qigong down here. And this is the five element, the Mao Shan, which are both part of the same tradition, as well as the 90-day challenge. So you can also, everybody who's doing these things, I am requiring that you do the 90-day challenge. That's where you learn the nuts and bolts and all the other practices and the other things that go along to create. Eventually, I'm going to unload this whole, not only the Mao Shan tradition that I learned, but what the Mao Shan masters are continuing to give to me as time goes on. So we're going to create a new tradition. We're going to improve on what has been passed down. All right, so I'm getting off track here. So you've got the chi energy, you've got the kundalini energy, and then you have the lightning power of the heart mind. And the lightning power of the heart mind is a feminine power. It is a goddess. There is a goddess that lives in your body. It surrounds your soul. Your soul is also here. So you've got the heart chakra, you've got the the cauldron, the dantian, and you also have the heart mind, the shen, the lightning power, and then you have the soul. The soul is sitting right there. That's why this is the focal point. This is the focal point of the whole human experience. This is why every religion everywhere, every philosophy, everybody talks about the heart. Everybody talks about talk from the heart. Living the heart-centered life. That's why, everybody understands this. Because that's where the soul is. The soul is right there. This thing isn't your soul. This isn't your mind. This is something else. The majority of Westerners live from here. They don't live from here. This is what Buddhism is all about. Buddhism is about connecting the intellect to the emotions. If somebody in this lifetime ends up becoming a Buddhist, it means that their orlog, their destiny, is to work through this schism between their thoughts and their feelings. This is why Buddhists can be so incredibly intellectual. I mean, they will go on and on and on and on about the nature of the self, and they will argue about whether the soul exists or not. The emptiness, the whole emptiness meditation practice of sitting and emptying your mind, which really isn't what they're talking about, but watching your feelings and watching your thoughts and not identifying with them, but completely having them. This is the merging of the intellect and the emotions, the intellect and the heart. This is what Buddhism is all about. So, the heart mind is made up of the power of lightning, which is represented as feminine internal fire. So it is the fire element. We here in this, we have just gotten the metal. So you've got wood and metal. But what's coming next is the fire. And when you do the fire element of the lightning heart mind, you get the most potent, pure spiritual fire, in my experience anyway. I had a very powerful experience with that element. Life-changing. And what happens when you tap into the fire, because the heart is fire, the lightning power surrounding the soul is fire. It's feminine fire. When you tap into that, that is when you get access to all of, on both sides of the issue. You will tap into, if there's anger in your heart, you will tap into it. Bear in mind, anger can come from different places. There's the anger that can come from the heart. There's anger that comes from the liver. So the difference between the heart anger and the liver anger is that the liver anger is resentment. Liver has a strong association with the intellect. And so if you spend a lot of time thinking about what you should have said, I do this. I think I was doing it today. Walking around, rehearsing what I should have said to somebody. I'm like, what am I doing? That was 20 years ago. Why am I thinking about that? That's resentment. Resentment means to re-feel. So if you're angry about who did this or who did that, you're angry at the government, you're angry at your parents, and you think about what they did. It happened 10 years ago. Maybe they're dead. The relationship is over. Your girlfriend cheated on you and broke up with you, and you're still angry about it, and you still rethink it. That's resentment. You're rethinking. You're re-feeling. That's the liver anger. Heart anger. Heart anger is instant. It's fast. It comes from disappointment, not getting what you want. You're vulnerable, and then your vulnerability isn't met with love or nurturing or whatever you want. You get angry, flash of anger. When women, guys know what I'm talking about. When a woman gets mad at you in the moment, I'd rather go in a room with 10 guys that want to take me out than be in the room with one angry woman because I hurt her feelings. Nothing like the anger of a woman scorned. Be careful. That's the heart center. Heart center flashes with anger. When you're driving down the street, somebody cuts you off and you get angry, and you don't do it. You shake your fist, or you give them the the reason why people flip off the middle finger, they throw the middle finger at you, because this is the heart, this is the shen, this is the heart mind, and it's also connected directly to the bodyguard of the heart. So the emperor's bodyguard, the direct connection to the wood element, which is boundaries, is the middle finger. So that's why when people throw the middle finger at you, what they're doing without realizing it is they are stimulating the wood element of the heart mind to protect their boundaries. That's why people do that. So what was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. I gotta cover this stuff over here because I get distracted by the questions. I gotta pull my screen to cover it so I don't see the questions that are coming up. All right, so when you fall in love with somebody, when you open yourself up vulnerably to a friend, the feelings you have towards your mother and your father. I'm speaking about all of the important intimate relationships in your life. You deal with that through the heart mind, through the heart center, the soul, the emotions, all that stuff there, and then the heart mind. When you are abused, when your parents neglect you and or abuse you and or shame you, it damages the heart mind. The heart mind, again, is this lightning power that is self-contained, that houses the soul. The soul, imagine the soul as this little tiny dot of infinite light. If you were to look at just the dot of your soul, it would completely blind you. It's the brightest light in existence. And it's infinitesimally small. It's like the power of the most giant black hole, except the opposite of it. That sits right here. And in order to keep that timeless, infinite power of light safe, this feminine power, which is a goddess, this feminine power, which is made up of lightning, which is feminine fire, it surrounds and encases the soul. So the soul is encased in order to keep three-dimensional reality from falling apart. And also, the soul, because of its infinity, is completely vulnerable. So those of you who think that spirituality gives you invulnerability, you're wrong. The more power you get from this, the more vulnerable you will become. But you will not be vulnerable to damage. You will be vulnerable, emotionally, spiritually vulnerable to infinity. And you will get your power from infinity. You've seen people like this where supposedly spiritual people, you can look them in the face and you can spit at them and call them names, and they will either smile and say, address, I feel for you. You must be very angry. They might get sad and go, that hurts, but I have nothing against you. And if they do it honestly, it means that their heart mind is empowered. It is functioning. And they're able to process that and not take it personally, and yet still have empathy and compassion. This is a fully functioning heart mind. And the heart mind acts as a defense against the harshness of three-dimensional reality. The people betraying you, lying to you, outright abusing you, hurting you, unconsciously, being selfish and narcissistic and being well-meaning but harmful to you. In order for the soul to be able to tolerate that, it needs this feminine, nurturing, lightning power. This lightning power is the protector of the heart. So that's why it's called the emperor's bodyguard. The soul is the emperor. When this lightning, which is more powerful than chi, more powerful than kundalini, more powerful than gravity, more powerful than the electromagnetic force even, because it is lightning, the electromagnetic force. It is more powerful than all of that. When that is unleashed on negativity, it destroys it. So that's why these guys were known for their ability to fight evil spirits. They were known for capturing evil spirits. They would have gourds where they would, they'd keep evil spirits for all kinds of different magical purposes. But they had this ability because they were able to take this normally unavailable lightning power, because it's normally focused inward and it's self-contained. They learned how to tap into it and release it. They learned how to channel it. And in order to do that, they had to go through, I don't have Dr. Manhattan here, they had to go through the Dr. Manhattan experience of becoming completely destroyed. And as my teachers put it, you have to become nothing. When you become nothing, you become everything. So to tap into that infinite lightning power of the heart, you have to become nothing. So you can't do that if you have wounds there. When somebody hurts you, when somebody betrays you, when somebody breaks your heart, whether they meant to or whether you just didn't get what you wanted, your heart gets broken, it lodges into the heart mind, because the heart mind is like a shield. So it takes this wound and it holds on to it. It holds on to it with this lightning power until you're ready to look at it. When you're on the battlefield, you don't have time to think about your wounds. You have to fight for your life and for the people that you're fighting with. If you stop to talk about how painful this bullet wound is, you will die and you will get other people killed. Heart mind is like that. In life, life can be like a battlefield. When you are hurt, when you are betrayed, when you are disappointed, you have to get up and go to work. You have to stay in the marriage. You have to go to school. You have to do whatever it is that you have to do. You can't let these things just take you down and destroy you. People that happens to, we put them in the mental institutions because they're not able to just tolerate their neuroses and their pain and will go through life. So that defense mechanism is there, and the heart mind does the job to help you with that, but it's meant to be temporary. Just like on the battlefield, you get shot, right? Okay, this isn't lethal. We've got to win this battle. After you win the battle, then you go to the medic or you wait for the medic, and then he comes and takes the bullet out and sews you up. Otherwise, it'll get infected and you could die. You're not going to die right now, so you got to keep fighting, but once the fighting's over, you got to heal that. But what ends up happening in our society is that we get wounded, sometimes fatally. You get hurt, you get rejected, you get betrayed, you get abused, you get neglected. And these build up into the heart mind, and these can be fatal. Might take 10, 20, 30 years before you die of it. Why do you think people die? I mean, the more I look at it now, age-related illnesses. I mean, and I'm gonna throw some out. Heart disease, cancer, arthritis, things like ALS. The supposed age-related illnesses. I'm not a doctor, so don't hold me to this medically, but from a spiritual perspective, these are the final results of wounds that have happened in life that don't get dealt with. The vibration of them gets into the tissues. For instance, if somebody feels that life has incapacitated them, they feel that on an unconscious level they feel they can't move or speak or accomplish. This is a feeling. That's going to turn into ALS. The neurons in the brain will disconnect from the body, and they will be fully aware, and they won't be able to speak, move, swallow. People with dementia, they can't remember anything for more than 10 seconds at a time. My experience, because my mom had dementia and other people I've known, these are people who denied their feelings and denied things. They just kept shoving it down. They would not acknowledge anything that was said or done. I remember being 16 years old and talking to my mom and saying, "Mom, we need to talk about this," and her uncharacteristically yelling at me, telling me to stop talking about that. And then seconds later, she's smiling as though nothing happened. And then that never happened. I never said that. She ended up having dementia because she refused to remember. She wanted to have the ability to not remember anything. She got it. People who, who feel they can't take any action towards their life, they're going to end up getting, something like that, some kind of immobility. So the heart center, the heart mind, is this place where these wounds, when they get to the heart mind, they get solidified. And it's that feminine power, that goddess, is wrestling with this pain so that you don't have to, but she's waiting for you to go, okay, I can feel it now. I just had this the other day. I'm going through a lot of shifts and changes towards having everything I've ever wanted, and I'm running into my own resistance about it. And I had some pain in my right knee that came out of nowhere. Now, I'm smart enough to know when I get pain in my knees, I know what's going on. If it's my left knee, it's because I feel that somebody is keeping me from having my freedom. That's all nonsense. Nobody can do that. But that's my experience. If it's happening on an unconscious level, my left knee will get stiff and sore. If it's my right knee, it's because I'm blocking myself from moving forward. And this was happening the more that I am doing the things that I really love in ways that I never have before, that pain was starting to manifest. And just the other day, I was getting a Thai massage, which if you ever had those, they carve you up like a Christmas ham. And, they bend you in all kinds of positions that are really painful. And I was in some pain, and I specifically went into my knee and I said, release. What is this about? And I was filled with all of these childhood emotions of not feeling worthy of having everything that I wanted, of being loved and nurtured. This idea that, all that stuff. And it was, stuff I hadn't been truly conscious of, and I was able to feel it, and I went right into my heart, and I felt it. And guess what happened? The pain in my knee left. So the heart mind is going to hold on to these things until you're ready to deal with them. The thing is that our self-protective mechanisms, our unconscious defense mechanisms, are so strong that we might not have the conscious ability to choose to deal with it. That's the ironic, sad part about it. Doing these practices, doing all this stuff, will give you opportunity to release that pain so that you become conscious of it. Those of you who are doing these practices, you've been emailing me, and I'm happy to receive them, but you're emailing me not only telling me about all the wonderful transformations you're experiencing, but some of them say, I'm angry all the time, or I'm really sketchy, or I'm feeling nervous, or I'm feeling, they have all these really uncomfortable feelings, and they're intense. And the more they do the practices, the more they feel them, and they want, to ask me how can they overcome them and get rid of them. And of course, I say the same thing I always say, it's not about getting rid of them, it's about having them. And then as you're having all of these uncomfortable feelings, you take proper action, which is sometimes directly opposite what these, these defense mechanisms are trying to tell you to do. Stuff it down, don't deal with it, pretend it's not there, or act out passive aggressively, or destroy a relationship, or stay in that horrible job, or whatever it is. Those defense mechanisms are trying to protect you, but they're not good strategies. And over time, those ineffective self-defense strategies will turn into neurosis, psychosis, and physical illness, sometimes fatal physical illnesses. So what does this have to do with sexuality? The heart mind, the shen, has some very interesting connections. So I've already talked to you about the wood, where the 5 elements are for the heart mind. So each one of these sets, when you learn them, by the way, when you learn the wood set, you're going to stimulate this. You don't realize it. You're doing these moves like that, but you don't realize you're stimulating this part of the middle finger, which goes directly to the heart mind, releases the lightning, and gives you the power of wood or ether. The metal, when you get to it, when I show it to you, you're going to see that you're actually stimulating this part of the hand, and all of the movements are going to have an association with this part of the arm. And when you get to the fire element, you're going to be stimulating the point here in the hand. I was going to say something, I forgot I got distracted. What was it I was saying? Sorry, so many things going through my mind at once. It's hard to focus on one thing at a time. Anyway, I'll just have to start over again. Sexuality, that's what I was going to talk about. So, the meridian itself, all these points, it goes through all of these points, and then it comes up the arm, and it goes to right next to the nipple. And then from the nipple goes to the actual heart center. And then it also moves down. Moves down into the triple warmer, but it also goes directly to the sexual organs. Forgive me for being explicit here, but have you ever noticed that with some people, more, women more so than men, that can be a very stimulating erogenous zone? Why is that? Because it's the heart mind going directly to the sexual center. It means that it is making you more emotionally connected to somebody through the sexual organs. So that's why being romantically damaged, hurt, betrayed can end up hurting you sexually. By the way, narcissists, people who have narcissistic personality disorder, a ton of them cannot orgasm. When you hear about these guys abusing people sexually, lots of times they're not able to ejaculate. And in fact, part of their kinky sex, hours of kinky sex, is them in vain trying to find some way to bring themselves to orgasm. The reason why they can't is because their heart mind is completely shut down. They were so damaged as infants that they're incapable of any emotional empathy. And that has a direct physical connection from the heart mind to the sexual center. Sorry, I just have to respond to this text here. So when you do these practices, what you're going to notice is that if there are any wounds, you will need to address them. So some people like me, when I first did this, I was celibate for 6.5 years. I did not touch a woman, which is my preferred sexual outlet. I did not touch a woman for 6.5 years. And I won't get into a bunch of other things that happened, but it wasn't until later on when I was doing these practices that I really opened up emotionally and had some really powerful sexual healings. In other words, it became easier for me to be with somebody sexually and let that also be an emotional experience without fear and still holding on to your boundaries. Some other things that may happen is that you have to be careful. If you really master this, then then people will fall in love with you if you're with them physically. So you have to be careful with this, because some people have never experienced that. They've never been with somebody where this lightning power, it can actually, they can feel it on the emotional, vulnerable level. It's that nurturing power of the feminine, of the goddess. It's really empowering. I mean, have you ever noticed that, I don't know how true that is now, but I remember when I was younger that, young women would always talk about like Italian men or French men, or Latin men, and they really liked the Latin men because they were fiery and emotional, but they were also feminine. Look at the way they dance, the typical white guy, he's just that stiff, biting his lip. I can't dance, but that's a typical white, stiff upper lip. I'm a tough guy. When I grew up as a typical American California white guy, I didn't hug other guys. You just didn't do that. You shook hands. If you hugged them, you sort of went like this and you patted each other on the back, and that was as far as you got. I actually had to learn that it was okay to hug a guy. But to watch, Mediterranean men kiss each other on the cheek was frightening. I had homophobia over that. And it has, it's a very typical sort of white thing where this closed off heart center. But women love that. Women love men that have equal access to their feminine and their masculine, who have the ability to be, strong, masculine, yet feminine, nurturing, and if you want to be able to fight evil spirits, you're going to have to tap into that. I had to really work hard to tap into my feminine within me. It took a lot. It was very challenging. But there, I often get that kind of response from women where they will say, gosh, you're so feminine but so masculine at the same time. And they really like that. So these are some of the things that you'll end up getting. I could go deeper and deeper into it, but we'll let that sink in for now. Hang on, I just got to see what this is. Hello? Hey, how are you? Oh, cool. I will come and get it sometime later today. If I don't make it today, obviously it'll still be there for me. Is that right? Excellent. I'll try and get in there today. If not today, for sure tomorrow. Okay, thanks. Bye. I sold one of my surfboards. Sorry about that. All right, so let's take a look at some messages. Let's take a look at some questions. Again, it's question and answer is what looks like there's only that here, so let's see here. So Angel retracted their message, so I have no idea what that was. Vincent.thunderwizard.com. You can check out his website if you want to get a Vedic reading. He is one of my apprentices in astrology. Dakota Spruel says, question, would you prefer an apprentice to have some experience with energy work before you take them on? No, I don't care. I mean, yeah, I don't care. Come whatever level I'll, the way the apprenticeship program works is, people, I mean, the longer that I keep doing this channel, the more stuff, there's just so much information. Again, anybody who wants to complain about, I don't have any money, it's like, well, great. I'll give you 2 lifetimes to master everything that I put into the free YouTube channel. There's just no way to master all of the free stuff that I've given. But even the stuff that you actually end up paying for, by the way, a lot of stuff that you pay for, even the $25 subscription at thethunderwizard.com, is just me putting things into order because people, they're so overwhelmed by the amount of information. So I put it in, in order from A to B to C so that you can, learn it in a way and integrate it in a way that, is understandable. But the way that I work with apprentices is, I mean, this is your time. You're paying for my time. I'm not going to say, okay, now I need you to do this. I don't care what you do. I have no agenda on you doing anything. I'm a syncretist, which means I've learned a bunch of different things. And I've found a bunch of these different things have a bunch of things in common, so I bring them together, and the unification of these things, the sum of the parts is greater than the whole. You end up with more understanding, or take 3 or 4 different disciplines and take one thing and create one practice out of it, which is a mixture of all of them. So I can come at you from any angle you want. You want to come and work with me, and you want to talk about runes? I'll teach you runes from now until the end of time. You want to talk about astrology? You want to talk about energy work? You want me to take you, whatever it is you want, it's up to you. When people call me or when they Skype me, by the way, anybody, there's been somebody who's been Skyping me in the middle of the night. Please don't do that. Don't Skype me unless we've got a schedule. I give out my direct line to apprentices. I trust you with that. Please don't violate my privacy. Okay? All right, I just need to get that off my chest. But when you show up, I say, hey, what's going on? What are we doing today? How can I help you? You're the one that decides where we go. A lot of people will have notes. They'll spend, if they come at me once a month, they will spend the whole month writing up notes, and they'll have a whole bunch of questions for me about the practices. That's fine. A lot of people, when they show up, they say, I don't know what to talk about. And I say, oh, great. Then we're really going to get to something deep in your unconscious. How are we going to do that? Well, I don't know. What do you want to talk about? And let's just be quiet for a few seconds. And sure enough, something will bubble up. That's the nature. You're not just working with me. You're working with my guides and your guides. Your guides and my guides are working together, and they've come up with, what you need to work on. And I'm just the conduit for that. I'm just the symbol that everybody, gathers around and does their thing. I don't have any idea what the hell's going on with you. So you don't have to, to be an apprentice. It's not like you're going to walk in and I'm going to go, did you do this? And I don't care. You could have nothing, no experience. You could have all the experience in the world. It doesn't matter. So she says, would you prefer an apprentice to have some experience with energy work before you take them on, or would it be okay to teach them from the ground up? Yeah, so I answered that question. Angel Me, so bear in mind this is a question and answer. That's how I like to do things. The 2 things I want from you are honest questions, questions that you don't have the answer to that you think I do, preferably about things I'm talking about. Don't come in to my classroom and start talking about somebody else or something else. You don't walk into a physics class and start asking about the home ec cooking, recipe. You ask questions based on what the teacher is teaching. If you're not going to give me an honest question, then give me an honest feeling. A feeling is, I feel this. I feel anger. I feel happy. I feel sad. That's an honest feeling. Not, I feel so-and-so is stupid. That's not a feeling. All right, so Angel Me is throwing a bunch of things out there. Neither of those are questions or feelings. talking about their experience with some things I was talking about. So anyway, I prefer to respond to a question. If you have a question, I'll share it. Sinleet observation. At what point, Sinleet, did I say I wanted observations? Two most important things in life: pay attention and put effort. All right, observation. I will indulge you, but bear in mind, this is what happens if you leave a comment. If it doesn't fit into those two categories, there's a very good chance that I am going to start assaulting your unconscious denial about something. So just for your own safety, you're better off just asking an honest question or sharing an honest feeling. Otherwise, it's a good chance I'm gonna dissect you in front of the world. Observation. For the past 3 days during my meditation, my third eye has been most predominantly seen white breasts with black or absent of light nipples. All right, so I don't know. I don't know what to do with that observation. You haven't asked me anything, so I don't know how to help you with that. Then you go on and ask a question. Detailed footwork. What video is this on your Patreon? Is it a part of the 90-day package? No, it is not part of the 90-day package. It is part of the Mao Shan package. The detailed footwork for the elements. What the footwork does is, among other things, but one of the things that happens is that it stimulates meridian centers on the bottoms of the feet. You do it all the time when you walk, but when you do it in a specific way, it'll again hook up, the meridians in the legs up to the heart mind. So that's what the footwork is about. What else? Angel, she's going to tell me what she said and see if I want to even discuss it. Oh, it's because I mentioned that this person had detracted their comment. So Angel is getting confused by the colors. So don't get stuck in your head, guys. Don't get confused by that. The colors of the chakras and the colors of the dantians you're going to find are different. My suggestion is don't get caught up in that. What I teach is experience. I got somebody, again, this happens all the time. I'm going to get new agey people showing up and dropping whatever comment or feeling or whatever. A lot of them have zero experience, like physical experience with these powers and with these energies. They sit around and smoke pot all day and think about it, and they think that means something. I'm talking to you about, I'm not necessarily talking about you, Angel, specifically. I don't know you. But I share experience. So if I talk to you about elements and how the elements work, it's because I physically experienced them. I didn't think about it. I didn't just read it in a book somewhere. So I'm not interested in talking about the colors of the chakras and all of that, The colors of the dantians, the heart is red in the Chinese experience. In the Hindu tradition, it's going to be green. Those are for different reasons. Don't worry about it. That information, how does that information help me? How does that color help me, transmit the fire? I'm here giving you practical experience. So when I tell you this element does this and this element does that, it's not because I read it somewhere. It's because I can actually physically replicate it. And that's where I'm coming from. That's why it's really important to listen to what I have to say. And you'll notice that when people come on and they drop something and they either have an alternate opinion or I say, wow, it sounds like you've really got it figured out. Looks like you should be teaching on your own channel and stop wasting time on mine. Because there's no point in having an argument with somebody that doesn't even know what they don't know. Everything on this channel, if all you do is come onto this channel and listen to me talk, I'm glad that you're welcome. I'm glad that you do. You're getting 1% of what I offer. What I'm offering to you is physical, sensual experience with the infinite. This three-dimensional reality is a physical reality. You are meant to integrate to the spiritual with your physical body and your emotions. It is an emotional place. This is why shamanism is about the balance of these forces, not sitting around thinking about things. Okay? So I don't know what got me started on that. Somebody was talking about different colors and all that. So anyway, and so now I understand why you deleted that early on. Let's see what else. Okay, so that's good. They say they've been enjoying the channel, so good. I'm happy to hear that. Let's see what else. Lorena Greco, honest feeling. I've been angry at my brother for a while until I realized that I was using the anger to avoid the pain I feel because my brother doesn't accept me for who I am. That is beautiful. That is, you just had an experience of evolution. You had an evolutionary leap. Anger is protection. True anger is meant to last for a second. When you're on the freeway, somebody cuts you off, you have a flash of anger, you swerve your car to the side. The moment that you realize you're okay, nobody died, your car didn't get hit, the anger begins to immediately dissipate. That's what anger is supposed to do. If somebody cuts you off, because this was me 30 years ago. Somebody cuts you off and you get angry, and then that anger starts to build, and then you start following them in your car. That's the kind of stuff I would do. I'd follow you home. If you cut me off and flipped me off, I was following you home. I don't recommend that. Thankfully, I never harmed anybody. Nothing ever came of it. In fact, one time I did that. Somebody cut me off and all the pent up anger in me came out, and I followed this person to Coco's restaurant in Fullerton, California, where I went to college. And I was bald back then too, but that was scary back then. If you were bald 30 years ago, it was frightening. Now everybody's bald. But I got out of my car, and this little college girl, I didn't know who it was, gets out of the car and she goes, "God, I don't know what I did, but I'm sorry, jeez." And it just shattered all of the anger that I was it was just so silly. It was just so silly of me. Because that wasn't anger, it was resentment. That was PTSD, resentment that had been built up for years. So anger is supposed to protect you, but the thing is, if you haven't been given the opportunity to have vulnerable feelings, if you haven't been given the opportunity to have all of your feelings without any judgment, then anger is the only emotion that you will have. If you're sad, you'll protect it with anger. If you're frightened, you'll protect it with anger. If you're hurt, you'll protect it with anger. If you really love somebody and they don't love you back, you'll protect it with anger. So anger is a gateway feeling to what the real feeling is. And you've just had that experience. This is one of the things that you'll get from this. All of this stuff will give you the ability, the heart mind will soften. You'll be able to, those wounds, you'll be able to soften those wounds. The point of all that, practically speaking, is that you want to have all of the power available to you so that you can be a master shaman, so you can, whatever it is you want to do. You want to be a master martial artist, you want to be a master healer, you want to be a master shaman and go to other realms. You're going to need all of that lightning power available to you. If 60%, and that's a conservative estimate for a lot of people, if 60% of your lightning power is trying to hold on to all of these wounds that haven't been dealt with, then that's that much energy that isn't going into your cell tissue. That's that much energy that isn't going to allow your heart to connect to the ancestors. That's that much energy that's going into your intellect, and you overthink everything. That's why I'm constantly saying, stop overthinking it. It's because you're avoiding the emotional experience. To have your emotions means to be vulnerable. So the ironic thing is, to be bulletproof, you have to be completely vulnerable. As my teachers put it, you have to go to nothing. Again, I wish I had Dr. Manhattan, where he goes to nothing. That's why I keep showing you Dr. Manhattan, for among other reasons. He was torn apart and became nothing. And when he became nothing, he then became everything. That's what this path promises. Or it gives you the opportunity to experience it. So you're absolutely right. And it's good. Now you know that. Now instead of being angry, which is protecting yourself, you can be honest that it saddens you that he doesn't accept you. That's painful. But then you get to let go of that. You get to accept him for who he is. He's limited for whatever reason. I relate. By the way, my brother never accepted me. I mean, I would, as a little kid, even as an adult, I would go, what did I do to him? Why does he hate me so much? When I was a little kid, I remember he's my older brother. I love him. Why is he so mean to me? What did I do? Well, it's because I was born when he was turning between the ages 4 and 5, and he was the youngest, and my mom stopped paying all the attention on him and started paying it to me because I was the baby. I was an infant. And he never got over that. To this day, if you talk to him this day, he's 62 or 60. Yeah, I think he's like 62 years old. If he's still alive, you'll find him panhandling on the street. And if you were to ask him about me, his younger brother, he would tell you that I ruined his life. It's because I took his mommy away from him. And so the point is that he doesn't have the ability to see me for who I am. Your brother may not have the ability, Lorena, to see you for who you are. And you have to accept that. You're never going to, you might as well just accept you're never going to get the love you want from him. It's painful. Cry about it. Mourn and cry, release it, and then, do your best to let him go and love him for who he is. Which means accept that you're not going to have the kind of relationship you want to have with him. That's what that anger is preventing you from. That anger is a stopgap. The anger is a stopgap to prevent you from feeling all of that sadness and pain. Sorry, I just have to. I just had to answer that. So now that you have, for whatever reason, you've been empowered. The other thing is when you get enough, feelings like anger means you don't have enough power. It's like when my phone starts to get low, it says go to low power mode. That's what anger is. When you're stuck in anger, it means you're in low power mode. So you're on hold and you're not really functioning at 100%. All of your RAM is going for just the essentials of getting up and eating and going to work, and the anger keeps you from, you don't have enough power to feel the emotions. When you do this work and you tap into the feminine power of the lightning, the nurturing feminine, maternal, loving power that surrounds your soul, then you have the power, you have the ability to then have all of these shameful, frightening feelings because you're protected, you're nurtured, you're safe. You have the power. So if you're angry, there's a good chance you don't have a lot of power. One of the things that I've noticed with this, from a martial perspective, is big, huge, strong, tough guys, like guys that boxers, MMA fighters. These guys have a lot of, some of them are damaged people. That's why they're so tough. That's why they're so violent. But that thick, tough exterior is the last defense, because underneath that, they're very weak. Now, if you go up against them using your physicality against their physicality, they're going to win. But if you have this kind of energy, you can literally, I'm not kidding, you can just simply tap them. I remember doing this more than once, but I remember one guy just simply tapped him on the arm. And his lips started quivering and his eyes started filling with tears. That guy never bothered me again. Because what happened was that this stuff makes you feel all of your feelings. And when you're feeling all of your feelings empowered, people like that don't want to be around you. They'll be afraid of you. There have been people that have literally just gotten up and left the room because I walked in the room. For no other reason, because my vulnerability to my own emotions and the heart mind energy surrounding that, that gets into people's, and that, you can't hold up your paper tiger, you can't hold it up when that stuff is in the same room with you. So that's what all this stuff will give you. That's what the heart mind wants to give you. It wants to give you this nurturing power. This is why the feminine, this is why in the Hindu tradition, the feminine is the most powerful. The masculine is the most enlightened, but the feminine is the most powerful. And that's why Kali and Durga, they destroy the demons. That's why Kali, her mouth is, blood is coming out of her mouth. Because she's literally, that's the blood of the demons that she's eating. The demons are those negative emotions within you that are trying to destroy you. Your fear, your shame, your narcissism, all of that. Your false humility, your victim mentality. Kali sees these as demons. You associate with them, which is why Kali looks frightening to you, which is Saturn, karma. When Kali, the mother, comes at you to heal you, you see this demon with blood coming out of her mouth, and she's got a necklace of skulls and severed heads. But that's because you identify with all of those things. You identify with your defenses, with your anger, with your insecurity, with your false humility, with your false self. You identify with them, and so you can't see her for what she is, which is a loving mother. But when she starts devouring those things, then you stop identifying with those defense mechanisms, and your true feelings come out, and then you see that she is a mother and she's nurturing you and loving you. This is why it's really important, on somebody's chart, they have to be really clear what deity they're dealing with. Because in your chart, if Saturn is going to bring you serious karma, you don't want to be chanting to Kali. If Saturn in your chart wants to resolve your karma, then chanting to Kali will be very liberating for you. It's really important that you understand, who you're dealing with here, which element and which planet, all that stuff. It's very important. All right, so did I explain that? Let's see. Simon Augustine, honest feeling. Please put that in all caps or I'll miss it. I am about to travel to a different place to start new life. I've been doing for a long time mantras and sending energy so that it comes out successfully. All right, so did you get those mantras from me? Not that I'm the only source of mantras in the world. But as I was saying, if you don't do a mantra that is aligned to your vibration, you may at best be accomplishing nothing. At worst, you may be asking the universe to bring out all of your karmas, which will make you feel like life is smashing you down. So, I don't know if traveling to a different place is good for you or bad for you. I don't know. I'm assuming that you know what you're doing, so I'm assuming it's a good thing. But if you're doing mantras, you can do safe mantras. There are user-friendly mantras out there that you can do. Like Om Namah Shivaya. You can do that one. That's Om, not Ang. Om Namah Shivaya. That's the one I recommend. Do that one. That feels good as I put that out there. That's a good mantra to do. If you don't know your astrology, that's a safe one. But do not go looking for mantras online. And just because even some guru gave you a mantra doesn't mean that they know anything about what they're doing. Just letting you know. This is coming from, I'm not trying to badmouth anybody or burst anybody's bubbles. I'm just telling you from experience, having done both, that it's really important that you get a mantra that's aligned to your astrology. Otherwise, at best, you might stumble on something that works, but at best you might be, doing nothing. At worst, you could be making things more challenging and painful for yourself. Priestess Tia, let's see, what else here? He says, I was blindly shooting and I feel afraid to start out new life, a new, better place. Well, I don't know you, I haven't worked with you, so I can't tell you if that's the right thing to do or not, but I'm always in favor of taking action, especially if taking action is risky and it's associated with your soul desire. So I wish you all the best. Priestess Tia, question. Is there a way to turn down the level of attraction when the heart is open when you wish to remain inconspicuous? I don't recommend that. It's just a feeling. That's all it is. It's just a feeling. And I don't know who you're talking about. Are you talking about a friend? Are you talking about a colleague? Are you talking about a mentor? I don't know who you're talking about. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who it is. You can have all the intense, attractive feelings that you want. You don't have to take any action on it. In fact, you should talk to somebody about it. Talk to a therapist or talk to somebody about that. So that you can talk about it and work through it. There's depending on the scenario. The thing is that physical attraction, emotional attraction, is very often projection, which means it's not real. What happens with me as a teacher is that people will have very strong feelings for me. Lots of times, heterosexual men will want to be my best friend. They won't be emotionally or sexually attracted to me, but they'll want to hang out. They'll want to be my best friend. And I have to say, no, I can't do that. I'm your teacher. That's why you have to pay me for my time. So that, because if I become your friend, I'm going to want something from you. I'm going to have a personal agenda. I'm going to want you to do my things with me. If you're my friend, you don't want me to be your friend. You want me to be somebody that has an unconditional focus on what's best for you. You don't want me to be your friend. That's bad for you. Same is true if a student falls in love with me, and a heterosexual woman, for example, falls in love with me. If she wants me, if she wants to date me or whatever like that, that's a projection. What it means for me is good, because it means that on an unconscious level, they want to learn. And so they're sexualizing, their desire to connect to the ancestors, and I'm the symbol of that. But I may also be an unconscious symbol of their father, if they have daddy issues. It doesn't, the point I'm trying to make is that attraction itself doesn't mean anything. Even good relationships, when you date somebody and you fall in love and get married, the first 6 to 9 months of that dating experience is all projection, or mostly projection, which means you are projecting onto them what you love about yourself. That's why people say, oh my God, we have so much in common. We're so alike. That's a projection. It means I see myself in you, and now I'm feeling, attracted to you. It's narcissism, but that's okay. It's happening both. Both parties are doing it at the same time. Or they're transferring. They're transferring, and this is very normal, transferring emotions for mommy and daddy onto their love interest. Oh, on an unconscious level, all men are looking for their mom, for example. That's what men are looking for from sex. They want mommy's love and nurturing. That's why men always want to have sex with their female counterparts. They want mommy's love. They sexualize it. But after 6 to 9 months, the projection and the transference starts to wear off, which is why there are people, I was one of these people, I didn't have any relationship that lasted more than 9 months, for years. And that's because I wasn't emotionally mature enough to be able to tolerate them once my projection wore off. That's why you see people break up. Right around 6 to 9 months, people either break up or they go through some kind of a crisis, which then they resolve, which then after that they'll get married. So they'll resolve the crisis, which means that they will move past their projection and see the person for who they are, reorient themselves and decide they actually do love that person. In fact, it's because of those things that now I really want to spend my life with that person. So you have to mature. So just because you're attracted, that's not anything you need to worry about. Turning it down, when the heart is open, it means that there's some boundary issues there. So the way to overcome that is to empower your self-identification, to empower your individuation. All mental illness, to the best to my knowledge, is about lack of individuation. In other words, people can't tell the difference between me and the other person. Donald Trump, perfect example. I mean, the guy lost the election and he just can't get over it. He's a narcissist. He has a mental illness. And his narcissism, because he has no identity, he can't tolerate the thought of people not loving him. He can't tolerate the thought of not being the most popular president ever in existence. He can't tolerate that thought because to him, it completely destroys the projection he's trying to create. He has no individuation. He is completely dependent upon what other people think of him. If you're individuated, it means that somebody can love you or hate you, and you'll have feelings, but it won't affect how you feel about yourself. You won't have to pretend, I'm okay, I don't care what anybody thinks. You'll be, yeah, that really hurts my feelings, but, that's just one person's opinion. I know who I am. And that's because mommy loved that little baby enough that baby learned to love itself. So if your heart is open and your attraction to somebody makes you feel uncomfortable or vulnerable or frightened or unsafe, it means that you need to individuate. So it's an opportunity. You don't want to try and play with the level of attraction. I'm not saying, if there's something that helps you, great, but that's not the focus. The focus is to be aware of it and go, wow, I really need to be more empowered within myself, more individuated. Because when you truly are individuated within yourself, you can be madly in love with somebody that doesn't want to be with you or can't be with you, and you can go, yeah, and I still love him, but that's okay. I love my husband instead, or I love my girlfriend, or whatever. I'm not going to tell you how to turn it down because I don't know that that's what's helpful for you. I think what's helpful for you is to feel it and ask yourself, where is it coming from? What is this who does this person remind me of? Do they remind me of my mom, my dad? All right. I hope I answered your question. Let's see what else. Okay, so Simon did get their mantra from one of my students. So good. So then, keep chanting your mantra. And the mantra, when you have the appropriate mantra, it goes into the unconscious mind and it starts to break apart all of the assumptions and false programming and separates it from the true programming, which is also in your unconscious. And that's why, perhaps your life is changing. That's why your life is changing. And you're making, probably, I don't know, but you're probably making changes and taking actions that are frightening and risky, but your true self is venturing out. So if you got the right mantra, that is a very reasonable possibility. Let's see what else. Okay, so Angel, you've got, this is why you shouldn't do anything other than ask an honest question. I've got you on my radar and I'm wondering if I need to silence you because you're asking questions like, has Thor ever smashed your ego? And then you say, don't have a heart attack. What is that? It's disrespectful to me. At the very least, it shows a disordered mind on your part. So if you're not able to follow my suggestions, which are in my classroom, this is what I want. I want an honest question or an honest feeling. If you can't do either of those things, I might need to silence you just so that I can talk to the people who do want my help. So from here on out, you don't have to defend yourself. Ask an honest question. Otherwise, keep your feelings to yourself. I'm not here for your input. Anybody's input, really. If I want your input, I will ask for it. Let's see, what else? Dakota Spruill question, could being immediately open to your heart, mind all at once be devastating to your life if you are filled with cognitive dissonance and trauma? Should people with understanding start... Dakota, I want you to read your own question and answer to yourself, how much victim mentality is in that. Hello? Hey. Hey, I'm good. How are you? Yeah. I'm on a time. I don't know how long I'm going to be in the country, so that might not work out. Hopefully I'll be here, but I don't know yet, to be honest. I gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Uh, okay. Will do. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Bye. Sorry about that. I had to take these calls. So, Dakota, could being immediately open to your heart mind all at once? First off, that's an assumption. So how do you know that you're going to be inundated all at once? See, I want you to see how destructive your immediate fear response to the possibility, what you're expressing in that question, and I appreciate it, is your resistance. The very thing that makes you want to ask this question is the very thing that gets you into trouble. Whenever you push something down, it has to come out. The false assumption that all humans have when it comes to their self-defense mechanisms, the false assumption is if I cut off the feeling, it won't bother me. And that's not what happens. What happens when you have a boiling pot and you clamp the lid down? It's going to explode. So what you're trying to avoid by, I don't want to have it all happen at once, so that's going to end up coming out in all kinds of negative, unconscious, perhaps passive-aggressive ways. So I think that people should have access. Now, if you do mantra work, it happens at a level that you can handle. The other thing is you can handle a lot more than you think you can. Feelings are just feelings. Feelings can't do anything to you. They're just feelings. It doesn't matter how intense they are. What you do with them can hurt you. If you act on the impulse to commit suicide or go stick a needle in your neck or date the devil or whatever it is, those are your actions. You choose to make them based on your feelings. So my answer to your question is no. If you do, because the assumption is if you do these practices that I'm teaching, is that going to force you to have all of your feelings, which will then destroy you? No. You have power. You can, if you're doing any of these practices and the feelings get more than you're comfortable with, then you back off. But, I went full bore. I'm grateful for my selfishness because I wanted the power. I was hungry for the power. So I would do this stuff for 3-4 hours a day, and afterwards I'd be in the fetal position because the feelings were overwhelming me. They didn't kill me. It was just a release. I was opening up the meridians and the feelings were being released out of me. And then afterwards, the next day I'd wake up and I'd breathe, and the amount of energy and the power that I had in my body. So, you could let it overwhelm you. It's not going to destroy you. Your cognitive dissonance is a defense mechanism. So when you do these things, if you do have cognitive dissonance, guess what's going to happen? It's going to increase it. But it's just a feeling. And it's on its way out. I was watching some astronomy documentary last night on Netflix, and the scientists had recorded, it was so interesting to me, they had recorded the gravitational waves that were coming to us that were like 1 billion years old from two black holes coming together. And so these black holes, these massive black holes were orbiting around each other, and they were getting ready to merge. And then you were hearing the collision of these gravitational waves. And so it was like, and then there was nothing. So now there's no sound, there's no gravitational waves coming off of that now massive black hole. But as it's swirling around each other, disrupting space-time. That's what you're talking about. You're doing this stuff to resolve the emotions. The cognitive dissonance means you're thinking one thing and doing something else, and you're not in alignment. And it makes you feel crazy. And as you do this, that's going to bounce around, and you are going to have a crisis. I'm not going to lie to you. You're going to have a crisis. But avoiding the crisis doesn't help you. In fact, avoiding the crisis guarantees a negative, unpleasant crisis will arise. That's a guarantee. You can't just not have it. So this is your fear. Your fear is, if I do this, I'm going to be so overwhelmed it will destroy me. It'll kill me. And it won't. Now read the question again with that. Could being immediately open to your heart mind at all at once be devastating to your life if you are filled with cognitive dissonance and trauma? Should people with unresolved issues start slow? I mean, what makes you think it's going to happen all at once? It doesn't have to. You can do any one of these practices at your own pace. You can do it once a week if you want. I don't care. You can do what I did, do it 4 hours a day. It's completely up to you. And you'll learn and you'll grow at whatever pace you choose. I think it's okay to push yourself. In order to build muscle, you got to go to the gym and push yourself. I'm sore today. I went to the gym and I worked out really hard. And I'm sore, and I'm glad I am, because now my biceps are going to be bigger. So it's the same emotionally. Stick with your practice. The most important thing about any spiritual practice is consistency. If you do 4 hours in one day and that means you never do it again, that's the wrong way to do it. If you do it for 10 minutes a day and you can do that every day, that's what you should do. So no, Dakota Sproul, you'll be fine. You'll have some issues and you have some feelings, and you'll end up healing and you'll be okay. You probably need to talk to somebody. Don't do any of this alone. This is why I offer apprenticeship. If you don't want to work with me, work with somebody. I don't care who it is. A mentor, a friend, a counselor, a group of people, your knitting circle. I could care less. You've got to have people in your corner. You don't have one? That's why I offer apprenticeship. What else? Angel Me, honest feeling. Felling, you mean feeling. F-E-E-L-I-N-G. Write it in all caps, remember? Two most important things in life, pay attention and put effort. Pay attention when I say write it in all caps. Put the effort when you're writing it to write it in all caps and to spell it correctly. Those things will make me happy. Tells me you've got an ordered mind. If you take action based on an ordered mind, it tells me that you are self-empowered and you're self-confident. I react, this is for you personally, but I realized I react negatively to people when they come across to me as insecure. Because that's a choice. Insecurity is a choice. You can choose to be secure. Even if you feel insecure, like spending time to spell things out, shows a choice to be grounded in the body and secure and typing things out and owning what you say. So angel me, honest feeling, powerless to become vulnerable because, so again, write out whole sentences. Where's the object? Who's powerless? I don't know who's powerless. Are you powerless? Write down who you are, put a verb. Okay? Have an ordered mind. Show me that that you respect yourself. What I see is somebody that doesn't respect themselves, because you can't take the time to write out a whole sentence, to communicate a whole sentence. It's disrespectful to me because I have to try and figure out what you're saying, and you're taking my time and other people's time because you want me to pay attention to you. So give me something that will make me want to interact with it. So it's disrespectful to me, but more importantly, it's disrespectful to you. You're disrespecting yourself when you don't take the time to make sure that somebody's understanding what you say. If it's happening because your brain is going too fast, it's a loving thing to do to stop, to slow your mind down, regardless of the insecurity that's making you want to go fast, or type with your thumb on your phone, or whatever it is that's making you not write out a full sentence. These things are all important to your spiritual growth, everybody. It's not just me being a pain in the ass. Yes, they are things that bother me personally. But if you want the universe to give you power, to give you knowledge, the universe is going to want this from you. It's going to want an ordered mind. It's going to want you to respect yourself, to respect your communications, to own them, to be honest, to be brave. Pay attention. Two ways you will accomplish that in life is if you pay attention and put effort. You will be empowered. Everybody around you will appreciate you and respect you. The universe will respond back, communicate with you, and give you what you ask for. Now, let me try and get through your feeling here. Honest feeling, powerless to become vulnerable because it hurts to acknowledge those scars. The resentment is very much as stubborn like me that. Okay. So I accept your honest feeling. You're afraid. And it hurts. And I say this with all love in my heart. What would you like me to do about that? I can't do anything about that. Look, I'm pretty sure there's probably an 85% chance I've experienced at least as much pain as you have, if not more. And I survived. This universe won't tolerate people who won't take action. Having all of those feelings and working to become vulnerable is an action. It is a choice. You will be rewarded for that. People want things backwards. People think, like when I give people career counseling advice, we come to the realization of what it is that they want to do, and we come up with a plan for them. And they become afraid because it might mean quitting their job or exposing themselves or whatever, and they become afraid. And they will say, well, I think I need to earn some money first. And then, when I stay in this job I don't like and I earn enough money, then with the money, then I can go do what I want. And I said, that'll never happen. That day will never come. Talk to anybody. Talk to anybody who has done a job they can't stand. And their justification was, if I just do this for a couple more years, then I'll go and do my own thing. Go and talk to them 10 years later. They're still doing that horrible job, and they have carpal tunnel syndrome and other things based on all their resentment towards that job. The universe doesn't work like that. The universe responds to your fearless actions. The universe responds to your fearless sacrifice. So what you're saying, Angel Me, is that you're afraid to sacrifice because you don't want to acknowledge all those pains and those scars because you're afraid of the pain. That is your sacrifice. You will have to feel it. And here's the other thing. The pain is there whether you choose to acknowledge it or not. It's not going to go away because you're not going to look at it. Choosing not to look at it will not make the pain go away. You might be able to numb it. You might be able to push it down, but it'll find a way out and it'll be worse. And there will come a time, if it goes on long enough, this is what fatal illnesses are. There will come a time when there will be, you know, right now, you have time. You can make the choice to get ahead of it now. Take action on it now. If you don't, there will come a time where there will be no turning back. You won't be able to say, okay, now that I'm on my deathbed, now I can turn around. I'm going to go ahead and take a risk. No, I'm sorry. That time has elapsed. Let's go. You can do it next time. Your body's shot. You're not going to make it this time. I'm not saying you're going to die anytime soon, angel me. I'm saying it's not going to get any easier just because you're avoiding it. An infection, when you get infected, it starts to get infected. You know, I'll wait, I'll sleep on it, I'll put some mercurochrome on it, maybe some alcohol. No, the infection's going to get worse. You got to go to the doctor and get it lanced. Got to go get an operation. Got to do it now. The longer you wait, the worse it's going to get. That's why my ancestors said, oh, you can't see it because it's black. That's why my ancestors said those that die in battle go to Valhalla. Your battle is to feel the pain and become vulnerable. Acknowledge the scars. And it will feel like it's killing you. I don't know you, I don't know how painful it will be, but it's going to be whatever it's going to be. You know, there's somebody I know that's been in an incredibly destructive relationship for decades. They want out, but every time they try and get out, the other person shames them and they stay in it. And they can't bring themselves to leave for a bunch of psychological reasons for it. And they will cry and say, I feel horrible, I hate myself, and I'm like, so it's painful to stay where you are. She says, I can't stand it, it's painful. Leaving would be painful. Yeah, I can't do that. I'm afraid of the pain of leaving. I said, so it's going to be painful no matter what you do. One pain is going to only get worse, which is the pain of staying, denying it, not dealing with it. It's just going to get worse. So you can be guaranteed that pain will be there. Then the other pain might be more explosive and immediate and, very intolerable, but it will dissipate and it will give you what you want. There will be an endpoint with after the pain of leaving the relationship is over, you will be happier and more free, etc., etc. So why not, since you're going to be in pain no matter what you do, why not take the pain that will give you the liberation, the empowerment, the healing, all the rest of that? Okay? I hope that was helpful. Dean Nevin's question, does Lakshmi have a fierce form? Yes. Indrani. Indrani is the wife of Indra. She has other fierce forms as well. My honest feeling is that I wish she was also a warrior like some of the other Venus deities, like Freja and Parashurama. I'm not sure why I feel this way. Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, you're working with Venus. Lakshmi is just one emanation of Venus, but I guess you're saying that because you're working with Lakshmi based on the syllable and your chart. So just keep working with that. I understand what you're saying, though. So the question is there, I don't know, is there a fierce form of Lakshmi where you actually use the name Lakshmi? Is there a fierce form of that? I don't know, but you know what I would do, if you're praying to Lakshmi, I would ask her. She will tell you. In your meditation, say, Lakshmi, is there a fierce form, and should I worship that? And if not, tell me why. And she'll answer you. She'll be more than happy to help you with that. Great Blizzard, you're going to get blocked. I'm sure Biden only won with the help of communist China. So here's the problem with you being sure. there's actually a way to find out. And the only way you're going to find out is if you want to know the truth. But I'm going to say something. I'm going to try and make it as brief as possible. I'm going to say there's a 90% chance the United States is going to fall. The empire of the United States is crumbling. It happened with Trump. Trump came in, destroyed our alliances with the rest of the world, completely diminished our reputation in the world, destroyed the State Department. And the reason why Trump is popular, Trump is a narcissist. Trump suffers from a combination of narcissistic personality disorder and borderline personality disorder. He is mentally ill. The reason why he's so popular is because 40% of the population has unresolved borderline and or narcissistic tendencies, and they see themselves in Trump, or they see their narcissistic parents in Trump. The majority of these people are uneducated. I'm willing to bet Great Blizzard you are uneducated. You've never been to college. You don't know how to verify information. You don't know the difference between a news channel and news opinion. You don't know the difference between a journalist and an opinion. I already know this. I haven't met you, and I already know this about you because you said that. The reason why, what China and Russia want the most from the United States is for the United States to not trust its own democratic process. The term fake news was invented because Russia was implanting fake news about Hillary Clinton to disrupt people's trust in the democratic voting system. They achieved it. How do you know that? Because at least 40% of the population does not trust the actual vote count that was recounted numerous times by Republicans, by Republican judges. There were 6-0 court cases all upholding that Biden won the election. And you, Great Blizzard, in your great uneducated wisdom, has chosen to discard all of those and listen only to your feelings because you project yourself onto Trump. You see yourself in Trump. And the thought of Trump not being president is the same as somebody coming to you and saying, you can't have what you want. You don't care that whether the democratic process did or did not make Joe Biden president. You now want to project only your selfish desires, and you will convince yourself of anything that will only justify your feelings. How do I know that? Multiple recounts in multiple states, all saying Biden won. 6-0 court cases, including the Supreme Court, with Republican Trump-appointed judges all saying that it was a legitimate election. The problem with that is that now that 40% of the population refuses to acknowledge their free and fair elections because they didn't get what they wanted. It means that democracy won't work. The only thing that will come from that is some kind of tyranny, which Trump is trying to become. He wants to reinstate himself. He thinks he can do it. The 4-star general, Mike, whatever his name is, Mike Flynn, 4-star general of our military, is openly advocating for a coup, which means to forcibly steal the presidency and give it back to somebody who didn't earn it, who can then put down martial law, which Flynn was saying you should declare martial law. And this is what happens in dictatorships. And this is what's going to happen because you, Great Blizzard, in your lack of education, your emotional insecurity, your inability to be mature enough to just say, you know what, I didn't get who I wanted this time, but next time I'm going to vote in who I want. Because you're unwilling to do what Democrats have been doing for multiple elections when, Trump didn't win the popular election, but nobody caused a ruckus when he got in. Bush didn't get the popular election, but nobody Nobody refused to look at we accepted that the democratic process, as we laid out, as imperfect as it was with the Electoral College, which can elect a president who didn't win the popular vote, even though all that happened, people accepted the rule of law. You won't do that, and you're going to justify it by telling yourself this lie that you've heard from others, that somehow communist China put Biden in. Even though Biden is working now to keep China in its place, and even though communist China desperately wants for the United States to not ever have democratically elected presidents ever again. Because of you, Great Blizzard, your unwillingness to educate yourself, your immaturity, and your unwillingness to accept a result that you personally don't like. Because of that, the United States will fall, and I hold you responsible. All right. Simon Augustine, question. Mantra I got is for Ketu and deity Matsya. Could I change deity I worship as long as it's a deity of Ketu? Yes, you can, but I don't recommend it. Listen, everybody wants to better deal it. I know, I did it for years. You can do whatever you want. The mantra you got was based on a system that I gave somebody to do. My suggestion is to stick with the instructions as they're laid out. Okay? You can do whatever you want, but I would recommend then, if you want to get a correct deity or a better deity, which might exist, you're going to have to do a lot of research into Vedic astrology and mantra, and you're going to have all the stack of books that I have stacked out in front of my computer right now about mantra and deities and all that. Then you can figure it out. If you don't want to do that, I would recommend taking the advice of somebody who has more knowledge than you. So my suggestion is I wouldn't do that. I would stick with what you've been given. Because part of the resistance of doing mantra is at some point your unconscious mind is going to tell you, I should be doing a different mantra. That's your unconscious resistance. Bear in mind, the mantra is designed to go in and shift your unconscious, and that means you will find reasons not to do the ritual. So don't let it get in your way. Stick with it is my suggestion to you. Fim sample CG, honest feeling. Feelings that 90-day challenge give me is getting harder to manage because there are so many feelings and it's so overwhelming. However, I have a desire for more of this resistance. Yeah. So listen, everybody's different. I went through what I went through. I still go through what I go through. You have your stuff that you go through. This is discipline. This is dying in battle. There's when you're standing there in battle formation and there's another army and the guy is foaming at the mouth and he wants to put that sword in you and kill you, everything in you is going to not want to go to battle. That's why we use that symbol of dying in battle. At what point is resistance easy? It's not. I mean, there's a reason why I show you Dr. Manhattan exploding. I mean, you have to be willing to die for what you want. That's how the universe works. You don't get it if you're not willing to die for it. Ironically, if you are willing to die for it, you're bulletproof. You know, what's that movie? One of the movies about Wyatt Earp. I think it was the one with Kevin Costner. And you know, they're outgunned, and he stands up and he says, "No, no," and he walks through and he starts taking people out, and bullets are flying under his legs, and he's not getting touched. And that shows what happens. I'm not necessarily saying in a shootout, but in terms of life, what ends up happening is that when you're willing to sacrifice your life to accomplish what you want, there's this level of invulnerability that you get, which means that you will go through a death, but it won't kill you. So that's just a feeling. Again, it's best if you have somebody you can talk to. If you were my apprentice, I guarantee you it wouldn't be as difficult. You would have somebody that would give you, to coach you on, that would help you to see it, and you wouldn't feel as frightened. You don't want to work with me. I don't want to work with everybody. I don't have unlimited time. Then find a friend, find a counselor, find a therapist, find somebody. Don't try and do it alone. What else? Simon, question. Again, Simon, what have I been saying? Write the words in all caps. You've done it before. Why did you not do it this time? I almost missed it. And when it comes to love, is it connected to Palana Devata? No. God Emperor, honest feeling. I avoided the crisis and my life dipped into subterranean levels. That's not an honest feeling. That's an honest experience. But what you're saying is that you listened to your resistance and that made things worse for you. That's what I'm hearing. So don't give up. This is why do what you can. If you can only do 10 minutes a day, do 10 minutes a day. If you can do an hour a day, do an hour a day. But do what you know you can do every day. I never do more than that. I never do more than what I know I can do. I never commit to, like long term. Like there are things that I do every single day no matter what. There are some things that I do when I have the time or when I feel like it. Sometimes I'll let my resistance take me out of certain things because I haven't committed to it. But make a commitment to something. Okay? Okay, what else? Lorena Greco question. I don't know why God Emperor retracted it after oh no, that's afterwards. Riho Rasta question. Was the Edda and the other Norse myths written already with a Christian influence mindset? I don't believe so. I've heard that before, but no, I don't think that's true. What he's talking about the Norse mythologies. He's talking about Snorri Sturluson, who was a Christian, if I remember correctly. He was a Christian monk, and he was chronicling all of the Norse mythology, and thank the gods he did, because if he didn't, guess what? We wouldn't have a record of them, which is what happened with the Celtic religion. The Neo-Druid religion is completely made up. I got nothing against it. I haven't done it. I think there's some really great things in it, but it's completely made up. Because when the Romans came in, they wiped out the Druids. This was before Christianity. And then, when the Christians came in, they wiped out whatever remaining paganism, polytheism existed, which included whatever mythology. They wiped it out. This is why Neo-Druidism is based off of something completely, totally unrelated, which is the Arthurian mysteries, which is nothing. It's Christian stuff that was written in France because they were looking for, it was sort of like us watching now when people watch the movie Dances with Wolves. It's a made-up mythology about the then declining Native American tribes. It was, it's nonsense. It's reverse racism, but it makes white people feel good, which is why they watch it. They watch Kevin Costner fighting all the bad white people and becoming, a native, and it makes them feel like, see, I'm like those brave, noble Native Americans that no longer exist. While they have, statues or paintings of Native Americans on horseback, which are all trophies of actually destroying another culture. It's on an unconscious level. That's what it means. You walk into desert Southwest, you walk into somebody's home and they have a painting of a Native American, looking sullen on a horseback with a beautiful background. You go, oh, I love Native American. No, that is a trophy that says we defeated those people. They don't exist anymore. That's what the Arthurian romances are. Arthur fighting against whoever he's fighting against, all that. Those were written by French Christians who were creating this Western, their version of a Western mythology. The fading, indigenous native people of Britain. That's why people read it. It was just for that. It was for entertainment. But that's what Neo-Druids use for their religion. And it's based on Christianity. It's got nothing to do with, there was no such thing as King Arthur never existed. There was never a King Arthur. There was never a Merlin the magician. None of that ever existed. So people have projected this onto the Norse mythology, and they say that Snorri Sturluson, being a Christian monk, was putting Christian teachings into the mythology, and therefore we can't really trust the mythology. And I don't agree with that. The reason is because in Iceland things were different. In Iceland there was never a military conquest by Christian armies. There was a military conquest in the rest of the European world by either Christian armies or by the Catholic missionaries themselves. And the Catholic missionaries themselves had a lot of power and influence to go in and wipe out indigenous polytheist religion and mythology. That wasn't the case in Iceland, and we know that even today, because today the Icelandic government will pay shamans to go to giant stones before they, like if they're going to build a road somewhere and there's a big stone in the middle of it, big giant boulder or something, in order to make sure that there aren't any elves. I swear to God, this is true today. This is true. To make sure there's no elves living in the stone, they will have a shaman go out there and make sure that there aren't any elves living in there. But if the shaman comes back and says, no, the elves are living in there, then they'll build the road around it. So even to this day, the ancient religion is still there. So when Snorri Sturluson was putting together, he was chronicling this mythology. He was keeping it accurate. So I don't buy into that. I understand your question, but I don't buy into that. I think that's coming from a misunderstanding. Lorena Greco, question: how is insecurity a choice? Great question. How is bravery a choice? Remember, dying in battle is a choice, right? We would agree that. Somebody choosing to stand on the front lines on the battlefield is a choice. Running away from the battle is a choice. What you're telling me is that you feel that your feelings control you, that your feelings have the power to determine your choices, and they don't. The choice to feel insecure may have come from a very real threat, but it was still a choice that you made. Now, the other thing is I'm not judging you for your insecurity. I can tell in your question you feel judged. You think that being insecure is bad. I don't judge you for any feeling that you have. In fact, I don't judge you for any actions that you take either. The fact of the matter is we live in a three-dimensional virtual reality where there will be a consequence to your actions. If you act on your fear, the universe will respond to you negatively. It doesn't care how afraid you are. If you're full of fear and you take a risk and you take action based on fearlessness, the universe will respond positively to that, and you still might be insecure. You might feel guilty and shameful. I know, I'm experiencing it. I'm having levels of success in areas of my life that I've never had before, and I feel guilty. I feel shameful about it. It's coming out in physical pain. So whatever the hell I'm telling you guys to do, I've either done it or I'm still doing it. And I'm telling you the principle works. We've got it backwards. People want to get enough money before they can quit their job. They want to feel brave enough before they take action. They want to feel empowered. They don't want to feel, they think that somehow they can get rid of their negative feelings and replace them with positive ones. And then once they have the positive feelings, they can go take action. But it doesn't work like that. That hot chick on the other side of the room that is out of your league, you're never going to know if she's going to go out on a date with you if you don't walk up and ask her out. And she might shoot you down. There's nothing you can do about that. But you'll find a lot of those really hot women never get asked out because nobody has the guts, and they just want somebody to date them. I wish people would stop looking at how big my boobs are and just ask me out, because I just want to go out and have fun with somebody, and I don't care who it is. But you'll never know that if you don't get up off your ass and ask. So your insecurity is a choice. I'm sorry. It's a feeling that you had, but then it's a choice to indulge in it and act on it. What else? Rio Rasta question: can the mantra deity interfere with the energy of other lineages that one is working with? My deity is Chamundi, and I'm working with your Qigong, but also with the spirit of wolf from Siberia. Doing a mantra is a mantra, so you don't want to do two mantras at the same time. My experience is that mantras do not, it's a good question by the way, But I've proven through my experience that mantras do not interfere with Qigong lineage practices. That's like saying, I'm working with Qigong, but I'm taking a certain vitamin. Well, this vitamin, no, you can take whatever vitamins you want. Take vitamin C, vitamin D3, doesn't matter. It's only going to help you. The mantra is only going to help you. Working with the spirit of the wolf is not the same as doing a mantra ritual. So I do that kind of stuff also. I work with, I'll talk to energies and deities, and that's not the same as having a mantra ritual. Okay? So I don't see anything in what you've asked that could cause a problem. Now, I'm not the guy who, I don't know the lineage of that gave you the wolf. Maybe that specific lineage doesn't want, I can't speak for them. My experience is you'll be fine. But if you have any doubts, you should ask the spirits themselves. Okay, what else? So Dakota Spruill, what did I say earlier? Put effort and pay attention. You write Q and then you write Amartra, then you write Wunjo. What is, if you're going to ask me a question, ask it. Let me see, there's a question above it. Maybe I'm shooting the messenger too soon here. Again, all caps. I'm telling you this because you should know better. I want to see you guys show me that you have an ordered mind. If you have an ordered mind, it means that you are self-empowered. It means that you are self-confident, which means that you will succeed. If you're too fast and you don't do it, it tells me that you don't respect yourself. Show me that you respect yourself. Write the word question in all caps, write full sentences. I am sober. I don't know what that means. Are you in a 12-step group or are you just not drinking? I want to strengthen myself in a healthy way and to communicate better. I love talking and connecting with people, and that's why I used. Okay, so you're a drug user. Is there a practice specifically that would help? Are you in a 12-step group? Are you in Narcotics Anonymous? That would be my first suggestion. Get your ass to Narcotics Anonymous, work the 12 steps with a sponsor, and then sponsor other people. That will take care of all those things. There's also working with a therapist. Group therapy is really good because in terms of communicating, there's no better place than in group therapy when the group will tell you your unconscious destructive communication. What else? A mantra, I don't know what that is. Okay. Went into detox, then rehab, and this is again question, right? Go ahead, you can write the whole word question. You'll be okay. You went in, so you can put the subject, which is you. You would say, I went into detox, then rehab, and I'm doing the Vivitrol shot, I don't know what that is, to make it so I can physically use. What? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is. So that tells me that you're not just doing drugs, you're doing, what are those things called? Heroin or something like that. What are those things called? The word for it. It's the crisis, opiates. So opiate dependence and emotional addiction are two separate things. You can be emotionally addicted, but not be dependent on opiates. You can be dependent on opiates and not be an emotional addict. So the first thing to do is to get off of the dependence of the opiate. And then if you turn out to be an actual addict, then you need to go to work the 12 steps. In the meantime, you can still be working, you can be going to Narcotics Anonymous. I don't know what that is. I'm taking whatever that is. I don't know what that shot is. I don't know what it gives you to do, but that's what it sounds like. So I can't answer that question because I don't know what it means. In any case, no matter what's going on with you, you can get your ass to Narcotics Anonymous. You can work the 12 steps, and you should be doing that. That'll cure a lot of your questions and problems right off the bat. FemSample CG, honest feeling. I'm realizing that it's getting harder for me to get honest and vulnerable with family. Now, I never said you had to get honest and vulnerable with your family. I don't know your family. Maybe your family is unhealthy and destructive and you shouldn't be. You need to have a therapist. You need to be talking with a therapist and asking your therapist what you should and shouldn't be talking about with your family. Getting honest with your family might be the worst thing for you. If they're part of your narcissistic programming, then getting honest with them is only going to piss them off or make them act out in weird ways. So I don't know that you need to do that. I'm realizing it's getting harder for me to get honest and vulnerable with my family. I think because I'm scared. I'm scared because they have control over me. How do they have control over you? Are you 10 years old? If you're 18 years old or older, then you have control over yourself. You don't want your family to have control over you? Get the fuck out. You don't have the money? Go get a job. When I was a kid, my parents didn't do this, but when I was a kid, I remember a lot of kids' parents, as soon as they turned 18, they were on their own. And they would tell their kids, as soon as you're 18, you better get a job, because as soon as you're 18, you're out on your ass. You want to live on the street? That's up to you. And those were some good parents. Maybe they weren't great in other ways, I don't know, but that was good. Because if you're not a minor, you're supposed to be in charge of yourself. Nobody can control you. Legally, nobody can tell you what to do. So I'm not going to co-sign that for you. I accept that you're scared. I accept that you feel vulnerable. But you say they have control over me, and if I get honest with them, if they don't like it, they can easily do things to me that I might not like. So unless there's something like mentally wrong with you, like you've got a mental illness or some kind of mental issue that prevents you from being empowered with yourself, and you're over the age of 18, then none of what you said is true. If you're under the age of 18, then you're just going to have to deal with it until you get old enough to do what you want. And I never said, when I tell people to get honest with their feelings, I've never said you need to go tell other people in your household about your feelings. I've never said that. That's not getting honest. Getting honest means you get honest with yourself. But you don't get honest with somebody if they can't hear it or they haven't earned it. You're with somebody you love, your wife or your husband or your partner, well then, yeah, get honest with them, because they're supposedly there for you. You should be able to trust them, otherwise you shouldn't be with them. But your family, your parents, I have no idea. If you don't like being with them, what are you doing? Get the hell out. Okay? Get a job, get out. Get honest with yourself. Stop trying to tell them or fix them or get them to love you. Getting honest with them in the hopes that they're going to love you or accept you, or, they've probably already done whatever they're going to do, assuming that there's some dysfunction in there. It sounds like there's some dysfunction. Maybe you're again, you need a therapist. You need a therapist, and you need to be asking the therapist, should I talk to my parents about this? They'll know. I don't know you. I can't tell from one little thing on here what you need and what you don't need. Christina Allen, question. I resonate with the Dr. Manhattan clip you usually have up. So my question is, what do you recommend to help me strengthen my vessel to handle this level of energy and learn how to direct it? There's only one way to do it. You just got to do the work. That's like asking, how do I get my bones strong enough to handle the muscles of being a bodybuilder? What should I do? What exercises should I do to help me? You just got to go start lifting some weights. That'll strengthen it up. You do these things, trust me, everything will strengthen itself up. If you're worried about it, then do it piecemeal. But, you just do it. Just go do it. I hope that answers your question. She says I'm in 12 steps. So Dakota, if you're in 12 step, here's what you need to be doing. You need to be, based on what you've told me, now knowing what I know, you need to be in a meeting every single day, once a day. You need to be talking with your sponsor once a day. You need to be working the steps with your sponsor. If you have a sponsor that says, no, let's wait to do the steps, get another sponsor that will work the steps with you right now. Work all 12 steps, especially number 4, the 4th step, your resentments. When you've done that, then start working with others. That's the most important thing. That's more important than me or anything here. You should be spending the primary objective, and the focus of your energy should be on that first and foremost. Then you can come and do all this other stuff with me. You can still do it with me if you want. But if you want, my suggestion, that's what you should be doing first. First and foremost, you need to be doing that. It'll save your life. If you don't do that, it could kill you. And I mean that. I'm not hyperbolizing. It could kill you. Work those steps for the rest of your life. What else? The Vivitrol shot. The Vivitrol shot makes it so you cannot use. All right. So it's sort of like what was that stuff? There's another one for alcoholics. There's a pill, Antabuse. So it's like Antabuse for alcoholics. And you are going to therapy and groups daily. Good. So you're doing everything. That's it. Keep doing that. That's going to save your life. Everything that I talk about has a lot of similarity to that. So if you want to do all this stuff, by all means do it. There's all kinds of free stuff. Make it part of your 10th step. So this here is part of your 10th step if you want to do it. Okay? You can make that your 10th step. Anything else? I don't see anything else. No other thoughts, no other questions? All right then. That's it then. I don't have anything else on my end. So, yeah. I guess I'll see you guys when I see you. So, we're going to be coming up with the fire here pretty soon. Fire element. I'm going to start talking about that. ThunderWizard.com, even at the basic level, the $25 level, gets you access to the Shaman Mastery course. And all of the levels of subscription on the Thunder Wizard site are monthly. So if you don't want to stay, if you try it out for a month, you don't like it, you can unsubscribe. And there's really no excuse. If people are saying, I really want to learn, but I don't have the money, I have a hard time believing you can't find $25 a month. Unless you're 10 years old, how is that even possible that you can't find $25? So there's really no excuse. Unless you just want to take advantage of the free stuff, which feel free. That it's there for you. Enjoy it. It keeps me doing this. So the more people that subscribe, the more videos I can make. And what I want to do, my goal is to have 1,000 people doing the 90-day challenge. When I get enough, it doesn't have to be 1,000, but when I get enough people, we're going to start doing live intentions to change the world. And we've got a bunch of people using the heart mind, and because the heart mind has a direct connection to the third eye, by the way. When we have that direct connection to the third eye and we use that as a group, we'll see, but I think we can accomplish huge shifts on this globe. So that's kind of where I'm heading with that, hopefully in the future. All right, that's it. Nothing else. Okay, we're all done. All right, so I'll see you guys when I see you. Take care of yourself and be safe. I'll talk to you soon.